Okay, so for my number three, I picked something that was uh, not Marvel or DC, but actually technically, I guess it would be an independent comic. I picked the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. Um, I think I think it's particularly at that point in time. I think it was probably the most faithful adaptation of a comic book. I mean, it really like most of the storyline comes from issues in the comic. They're just kind of the order is just switched around because like the first issue of the comic, which was originally just intended to be a one shot. It's the roof. It's okay. It's you take the flashback scenes in the movie and then the rooftop fight, and that's basically the first issue of the comic book.
Right.
But all the other stuff, like you have one of the turtles getting beaten up by the Foot Clan, and then they have to retreat and live on a farm for an extended period of time. That's in the comics and stuff like that. Like really, it's closer to the comics than it is the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing it really took from the cartoon was that they had colored bandanas because in the comic they're all red. Well, I mean it's in black and white, but on the cover art they're all wearing red. Um, like Cowabunga and the pizza thing, that's from the cartoon, obviously, and April being a reporter. She's a lab assistant in the comic books. But yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's great. I mean, I love how it's shot. It's like it makes really good use of shadows, and it's just like damp and like it looks the detail in the animatronics and things like that. Like I remember seeing a picture of the animatronic head for Raphael, and I never noticed it in the movie, even though there are plenty of close-ups where you can see it. He's actually got like a scar along his snout, I guess. I never picked up on that before, but I thought it was a cool little detail that they had on the character. Kind of showing how sort of hard-edged that particular character is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's a super fun movie.
yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. I was fortunate enough to see it on the big screen several years back, and that was quite an experience. It was the audience was really into it, and they laughed at a lot of things that may or may not have been intentionally funny when it was made.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wonder too, like the latest movie, if I remember correctly, they were a bit thinner. Like they were
The turtle design.
Yeah, and I know that it was. Well, I guess they were more muscular, but
They were pretty bulky. Like they were really tall.
yeah, I feel
Um,
like they could have gotten away with suits still.
yeah,
No, it's
I
but
think I think if they try to, because I know they're not going to make any more sequels to the two that they made recently. I think that what they could do is maybe make a combination of animatronics and like motion capture.
mhm.
I think you could combine the two, sort of like give enough costume or animatronics or whatever to the suit to where it's important, and then leave enough out that the CG can fill in, and also allow the actors to be able to have more mobility and pull off the martial arts and stuff. That's another thing. Like the fight choreography in that is like really, really well done, and it's kind of amazing that those costumes being the way they are, that they were able to be as mobile as they were able to be, and it's pretty cool. And yeah, the other two movies after that definitely went a goofier route, and I appreciate them for what they are. But yeah, that first movie is great. I really, really like. I actually watched it a couple weeks ago because when I was thinking about comic book movies, and I really wanted to. I was actually rereading the Turtles comics, and I thought, you know what, I'll go back. I'll go back to the first movie and watch that.
This was one movie I knew was going to be on your list.
Oh, really?
I am surprised it's this far up on the list.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, yeah. Every time I talk about this movie, I think of, and I think was it part 2 or part 3 with Vanilla Ice?
Part 2 is the one with the legs.
Yeah, yeah, that was because I'll never forget being in like first grade, taking a spelling test, and we had to spell turtle, and I was like, URTLE.
Oh,
So
well, that particular rap is from the first movie because that plays in the end credits. But
oh,
yeah,
was it? Okay, yeah.
Vanilla Ice had the ninja rap, which is
Okay.
super catchy. I like I said, I like the other two movies for what they are, and that scene, as ridiculous as it is, it's still fun. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, yeah, Ninja Turtles. I mean, yeah, it's a really good comic book movie. I
it
mean,
is.
particularly at that point in time, because you still really did it. Just they weren't like making good comic book movies at that point. Other than
It had like a dark side to it,
yeah,
with the shadows and things like that, but it was also very fun and light. So it had a nice combination. I think
and
that, yeah.
apparently it was like the most successful uh, independent film up until that point in time. I can't remember what it was that surpassed it later on, but that's pretty crazy. It's weird to think that that was an independent film as slick as the movie looks.
Well, and it's funny too because like the comic was like an independent comic too.
Yeah, so it was fitting.
Like, yeah, I guess it works. But I'd like to see it done better, in future movies if they ever dare do it again. But I think it's probably just going to be an animated type of thing from now on.
And we'll see what happens. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that they'll go back to the original comics if they do another movie.
Yeah.
But I think that might be a little bit too much to ask for.
Someday. We'll see.
Oh,
So, all right, my number 3 is this when I made this list, the 1, 2, and 3 were the first ones I was able to write down. So Spider-Man 2 was my number 3. So I mean I think it's almost the perfect comic book movie to me. Obviously not the best, but I think it just has everything in it that you'd look for in and the villain is really entertaining and really well done. I mean, I can't believe how much that actor fits Dr. Octopus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And again, just going back to like what I said about the first one is just Peter Parker battling with his own life, his private life, and then on top of it has to fight somebody he actually admires. So it's just like a really good, character story, just put into a comic book movie. Yeah, and again, I mean, I think the same thing that we talked about with the first one applies to this one. I mean, it's the perfect sequel too. I always forget James Franco was in these.
Yeah. His career like went on a completely different track. Like
it did, yeah. And then it like came back. It was weird. He like fell off the face of the planet. And
yeah. I mean, Tobey Maguire too. I mean, he hasn't really done anything.
Yeah, well, I heard he was difficult to work with.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so which I was kind of surprised. But well, yeah, I mean,
that's funny too because I don't know if you remember this, and here's another story that we'll share with the audience from our film school days. But when our production management teacher, I remember her talking about how Tobey Maguire, I think it was prior to beginning production, like shooting, he injured his back. And, and they were going to recast him, and they were considering Jake Gyllenhaal. And I remember reading that at the time and thinking, it's a bunch of nonsense. There's no way that they would just replace him with an actor that kind of looks like him. But then our teacher said that that's what they were actually considering at one point. I'm like, oh wow, I guess that was true. It seemed so ridiculous. And thank God that he got better, because I think it would have hurt the film if they had replaced him, because he was already endearing to the audience, and to have him replaced so quickly would be
You wonder if his back injury was that bad, or if there was like some other issues, like if he was difficult to work with. So this was just an excuse for them to want to work with somebody else.
I sometimes wonder if that joke in the movie where he's like, I'm back, and like he falls and he on the car. And it's like, oh, my back, my back. I was wondering if it was meant as an inside joke. I don't know for sure if it is, but
yeah.
and sometimes whenever I watch the movie, I'm like, I wonder if that's supposed to be an inside joke. Yeah.
Well, also too, like when I was gonna say James Franco, but Harry has Doc Ock give him or capture Spider-Man, and then finds out that he's Peter Parker. Like that story was like you built up to it, so it was pretty well done. I think James Franco was really good in this. Aside from the third one where everybody was just kind of, I think, collecting a paycheck.
I don't know. I mean, he was pretty. Actually, I thought he was one of the better things in the third movie. To be perfectly honest, he was good at being evil.
Yeah,
but
and then he kind of.
I mean, he redeems himself. That's the thing with that's the only thing with the movies is it seems like all the villains have to have some sort of tie to Peter Parker in some way. It just seems like what are the odds that you would have like 3 or 4 villains who have some connection to Peter Parker in some way? Like,
I think didn't Batman kind of usher that in a little bit with
probably with the whole Joker angle, and that was like worked in at last minute too. So,
and I think even like the Marvel films tried to do that with like Bucky being responsible for Tony Stark's father's death or parents.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that.
Yeah, in Civil War.
It's been a long time since I watched those movies, so.
Yeah. It is kind of like it's become, I guess, ubiquitous with comic book movies, but yeah, it does almost take you out of it at this point. But it is true too, like a comic book, right? Like, just they're corny.
Yeah.
In some ways, and
I almost put Spider-Man 2 on my list. I sort of.
You have it on your list?
I don't have it on my list. I was trying not to do too many movies from the same franchise.
Okay.
I kind of fudged it with the X-Men thing, but it was agonizing over them. Like, should I do Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2? And then I just decided, you know what, Spider-Man was more groundbreaking. So
you made your list a little bit differently based off of like what kind of was like a groundbreaking for a comic book film. So yeah, I can understand that. I mean, Spider-Man 2 wasn't, but it just kind of improved on everything that the first one did. So, but yeah, I mean, I think when I look at like just super enjoyable comic book movies, I feel like that is like a quintessential like comic book movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, but then isn't completely ridiculous.
Yeah, so. Those movies definitely, I think, paved the way for allowing the Marvel films, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to thrive because they don't take themselves too seriously. I will say I think that Marvel's work is a little less hokey, but I think part of that too is just Sam Raimi. I think his work in general, when he's doing action or what have you, or even horror, he likes to have a little tongue-in-cheek with his work because like Darkman has definitely got some corny moments, but it's a great film. I still really like it, and I think it works well.
One thing that always bothers me though about the Spider-Man series is that he like sets up the Lizard.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's just no payoff. Because I remember, was it the first one that he first makes an appearance or the second one? But I just remember like sitting around with friends just talking about like, oh my God, the third one's probably going to have the Lizard. And they, like just like dreaming about, and that's shocking to me that he never, like, again, probably technology, I'm guessing.
I think a big part of it was, well, if Sam Raimi had his way, Spider-Man 3 probably would have had the Lizard. But there was so much pressure to have Venom in the next movie that he kind of had to cave to that pressure. And I have to wonder if Spider-Man 3, in a way, was him just kind of going through the motions because he didn't get to make the movie he wanted to make.
I think so. It sounds like there's a lot, issues behind the scenes, but the Sandman is probably one of my favorites. So I think very ridiculous. Like, I so wish that movie was just made differently around Sandman being the main villain, because he was just looked good and was just a really good type of villain. Also killed Uncle Ben.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't like that change. That was kind of silly.
Just going back with what we said, everybody's got some tie to Peter Parker. So
all right, well, we better move on to number 2 because we could be talking about Spider-Man all day. Okay, so my number 2 I picked, and this was another one I kind of agonized over because I wasn't really sure. I picked Superman 2.
Oh, okay.
Even though I think that the original Superman movie, that is groundbreaking because I would say it's the first successful adaptation of a comic book property that was like big budget and was made money, and it had A-list actors in it and all those things. But I think, and it's a good movie, I like it, but I think Superman 2, like what you were saying with Spider-Man 2, how it took what was already there and made it better.
Yeah.
I think Superman 2 it does more justice to the character. Like, you get to see more of what Superman does. Because like the one thing that always bugged me with the original Superman movie was that like he never got to go toe to toe with anybody in a battle.
Right.
Like, it was always him like racing against time or whatever. Like, you get to see his powers, but you never actually get to see him on equal footing with another villain. And I don't think that plays as well on film. Like, it's not as exciting to me.
Yeah.
But with like Superman 2, you have not just like one Kryptonian villain, but you have 3 of them, and you have Lex Luthor in it too. It's not perfect. I think there are things in the movie that I feel kind of, I don't think that they're true to Superman's character. So it's like, okay, so the first thing, I think it was kind of weird that he sleeps with Lois. It seems very out of character to me because he's kind of, he comes from like the old Kansas. There's the good old traditional values. He's very, and whatever you might think about sex before marriage or whatever, I think the fact that the character does that doesn't seem consistent with his upbringing because he's so wholesome and like old fashioned like Clark is, and it just seemed weird to me and not kind of out of character. The other thing was, and I know you'll probably know what I'm talking about already, but when he gets his revenge against the trucker who beats the crap out of him earlier in the movie, he comes back to the diner at the end and he's got his powers back, and he goads the guy into fighting him, and he just beats the snot out of him. like he punches him in the stomach and he breaks his hand, and then he just humiliates him. But I shouldn't say he didn't beat the snot out of him, but he humiliates him. He's like puts him on a counter full of food and just slides him into a pinball machine. And it just seems really petty and un-Superman. I really don't like those things in the character. But otherwise, I think Superman 2 is a pretty strong film. Regardless of whatever cut you watch, like, because I think the original cut of the movie is preferable. The Richard Donner cut is obviously, there's stuff that he didn't get to shoot, so he didn't really get to make a complete film. They had to use screen test footage and things like that, and they recycled the original scripted ending, which is he turns back time, and then when they were in the middle of production, they said, oh yeah, well, this idea is too great, we'll use this to end the first movie. So having it recycled was kind of, I didn't like it. They should have Donner should have just stuck with the Superman kissing Lois and erasing her memory thing, even if it wasn't his footage. But you were gonna say something?
The landscape of them. When you say Superman being made in like '78 was more of a groundbreaking film than 2?
Yeah, I mean, I would say
2
so.
being the better film.
I would say two is a better film. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely, I think 2 is a much more satisfying experience, but the first one definitely breaks ground in ways that the second one didn't. I mean, just like Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I mean, really, Superman was the first superhero movie that isn't laughable, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then even movies that came after it. I mean, almost Superman 2, you had to wait another 9 years till Batman came out, and it was trying to think what came out between the two.
I'm not sure what year Superman 2 came out. I'll have to give a quick look.
It's 1980.
Was 1980? 1980. Yep. Well, you're up.
Yeah.
What is your number 3?
So, all right. So this one, this was one that I was not surprised about, but Infinity War. I think just the perfect villain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't think I've ever felt the way I felt watching a comic book movie like I did watching Infinity War, like edge of my seat, trying to anytime that the superheroes were about to defeat them and then it didn't work, and it's like you felt like helpless. Like every movie, every comic book movie, you know that the superhero is going to win. But with this one, really the movie ended, even though there's a sequel. The movie ended with them losing, and probably the first movie like that where they just completely lost. And then, with everybody disintegrating and just like the defeat. And it was like, it ended in a weird kind of way. And it was a weird type of, it's almost like the type of feeling you get watching like an independent movie, just cause I think it ends on Captain America's face. And he's just kind of,
Infinity War?
Yeah.
If I remember right, the way that ends is Thanos is on that planet or whatever, and he walks out and watches the sunrise or whatever, because he makes some reference to when his work is done, he'll go out and see the sunrise, grateful universe or whatever. I can't remember exactly what he says, but yeah, I'm pretty sure because it's kind of an abrupt ending. And it it definitely makes you mad for obvious reasons, but the fact that it ends that way.
Yeah, but I think it's as far as post credits. But yeah, okay, so it's Thanos going to saying his bit. Yeah, no, it does end on Captain America's face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it is Thanos, but yeah, it kind of zooms in on him. But yeah, I just like that villain is the perfect villain. I mean, and even the way that they did Endgame was very you almost felt the same way, but you knew that they were gonna somehow beat him, but you knew somebody was gonna. And I think because they released that somebody was going to die, but yeah, I just never felt so fearful of a villain in a movie or a comic book movie. And the fact that it ends not a happy ending is, we've talked about that. Like that's sometimes preferable in movies, and even that scene when Thor comes in and you're like, okay, he's gonna be able to, and then nope, like
Yep.
like nobody, like all these people that like were invincible leading up to that time, just weren't enough. So yeah, I think it was really well done. The Russo brothers, again, I think they shoot action in a unique way. I think if any villain can be just stronger and smarter than the hero, it just works on so many levels. You know, but yeah, I this could easily be my first one. But I'll go to that next. I'll let you do, unless you got something to say about.
Well, yeah, I considered putting this like along the top. I didn't. I don't have it on my list, but obviously I mentioned that earlier. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my two, I guess, issues with Infinity War is the thing with the ending is that you have all these characters die off and you know that they're going to come back, so it kind of feels like a cheap twist, or I don't know what I would call it, but it's like they're trying to get emotion out of you, but you already know that these characters, they've only been in like one movie or a couple movies. There's no way that they're going to squander this character by killing them off. They got more movies left in them.
I think they should have, and that's a good point because I didn't really think about that. But I think that they should have not killed off, but disintegrated, I guess we'll just say, characters that we didn't know were going to necessarily be in the phase. You know what I'm saying? Like Hulk, like we don't know. And again, that's my main issue. Like, what were they doing with him? Like, powers don't work. Like, why? Like what for? Does nothing. Like it's there's no payoff to like it just doesn't. Like maybe he's able to get angry at the right moment, and like it just didn't. I don't know. And I understand what they said, that he got like his ass kicked by Thanos at the beginning, and it kind of like
lost his mojo.
Yeah. So and even the opening. Sorry to stray. I'll go back to, but even the opening of like just everybody like dead in the ship, and because you go from like Thor Ragnarok to just a massacre. It's just like it just didn't feel like, it felt like a comic book movie, but it felt just different. But no, if they were able to kind of do that, disintegrate characters that maybe didn't know, because they did Spider-Man. They're like, oh wait, I already know he's got a movie coming up.
Yeah.
So and anyways, Spider-Man, so he was coming back. But yeah, I think if they did certain people, and I forget the girl from Guardians of the Galaxy who died. His daughter.
Gamora.
Daughter. Yeah. Like that was one that I thought, oh, she's, there's got to be a way that she's coming back, and but yeah, I get what you're saying. I think they should have killed off some people that you maybe they aren't coming back, instead of characters that you knew for sure.
My other issue was there's no like. The film has no real protagonist, like central protagonist. Like I remember a friend of mine, we've gotten into this a couple of times because he insisted that was the best movie of the year, and I didn't agree. And one of my reasons was that there's no real main character. And he said, well, Thanos is the main character. It's like, well, yeah, okay. Thanos might be the main character. The plot might revolve around him, but he's not the protagonist. Like, you're not wanting him to win.
Right.
And I thought that there was something about that kind of didn't really help with the film's structure in some ways. I can't put my finger on what it is exactly, but it was just something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, that there wasn't any particular hero that they were focusing on. And I know they had like every character up to that point that they shoehorned into the movie, because it was supposed to be the big event. But
I mean, I do some issues with it, and like in no way, again, like I said, like with Hulk being just non-existent. It's like in a movie like that, I feel like people want to see everybody. If they were to make another villain as powerful as Thanos, where like no superhero could fight him or defeat him by themselves, that would be, to me, like, because like every comic book movie, the superheroes just like throw away almost everyone, except for like where like Spider-Man or Batman has really entertaining villains. But if you're able to, even if they're not entertaining, but if they're just like too smart, too powerful, and you just legitimately feel like this is like, even in like the Dark Knight Rises, when Bane just almost kills Batman, you know, like where is this going, you know, because he's defeated. So, you know, that kind of stuff is, I think, something that they should adopt in more comic book movies. But, you know, again, it wasn't a perfect movie, but I still, for that reason, I've never, I mean, I don't know, did you feel that way when you watched it, like kind of edge of your seat, or was it just?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like, there's the thought, and it's like, why can't you just die? Yeah.
Even when like Iron Man and all of them, Doctor Strange, get him almost to the point, you know, and then
when they got him dazed and everything, and Quill has to totally ruin it by punching him, and he wakes him up.
Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah,
Stop hitting him!
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's like, you know, super frustrating. But yeah, it hit on all the right notes, I think, for a comic book movie. So, I mean, and again, also too, like just like Avengers, like awesome job at incorporating all those characters into the movie to make it feel like I don't know, it was done really well, I think. Didn't feel crammed.
Yes, I agree.
Although, like Spider-Man riding in the school bus and then getting his Spidey sense.
Hey, they had to fit it in there somewhere.
Where was that in the first movie? But yeah, it should have had like Tobey Maguire just like as a joke, did. So, any honorable mentions before you unveil your
honorable mentions? Okay, well, we talked the other day. I think The Crow is definitely an honorable mention. It's a really well crafted film. The production design is great. It's shot great and get great acting. You know, the villains and everything. And I just put a review up for that yesterday. Yeah, like last night. What else? Blade definitely belongs on there, I think, in the honorable mentions.
Yeah.
There's another one, but I can't think of what. I mean, there's a lot of movies that we've talked about already that haven't been on the list that get talked about. Like, you know, the original Superman, I suppose, would be an honorable mention. Batman Begins, or really just the Dark Knight trilogy in general, I would consider honorable mention. I think those movies all are pretty good in their own, you know, and entertaining in their own ways.
Did you find like Captain America Civil War to be kind of bland?
No, actually, I remember really rather liking that one because, I mean, it really didn't feel like a Captain America movie. It felt more like an Avengers movie, to be perfectly honest. But maybe that's why I liked it. I don't know. And getting to see Spider-Man for the first time. And you had Black Panther. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, number one.
My number one is, get ready for this, folks.
Drum roll, please.
It's Ang Lee's Hulk. No, I'm joking. Mine's nothing special. We already talked about the movie.
I almost hit the record button. Shut it off. No, good.
Yeah, we've already discussed this. It was your number 4. So my number 1 is Batman 89, and we've pretty much said everything that needs to be said about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll let you have the floor.
Nice. More time to know. All right. So going based off of, or not based off of, but what we were talking about with Infinity War, the villain, which you can probably guess what number 1 is, The Dark Knight. I think.
How could you?
The major disagreement here. So okay, so I'm not a huge Christian Bale as Batman fan. I think what they did with the Joker completely changing or just destroying the world around Batman is again exactly what you want in a comic book movie. The fact that he has to go and he goes to save Rachel, but it ends up being Two-Face, and then she dies. I just think he's the perfect villain for that character. And a lot of movies, when you're talking about movies that influenced other comic book movies, like this one kind of changed the landscape of everything.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I understand the criticism, and I've always been like, again, when Heath Ledger was hired to play Joker, I was like, how is that going to work? That's terrible, like Jack Nicholson. But me personally think that he did an awesome job in fitting into like that real world, just a chaotic type of character. And yeah, it was another movie where everything felt like it was falling apart, and you really wondered how it was gonna end. Because again, Scarecrow was like, okay, that's just another comic book character. Like, that's not going to be. But yeah, I think same with like Spider-Man 2, like Doc Ock being somebody that Peter looked up to, and like you really felt like his whole world was crumbling up to that point. And then same with Thanos and Infinity War and then The Dark Knight, like just the perfect villain. And to me, that's what makes a good comic book movie, when the villain just seems to get the best of the hero. So now I'm your villain for choosing.
That the whole time you were talking, all I heard was blah, 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 blah. I wasn't paying any attention. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, I understand why people like The Dark Knight. Don't get me wrong. I think it is a well-made movie. It doesn't. It's a great movie. I just don't think it's a great Batman movie.
Okay.
Like I feel like it could just as easily, you could swap characters out and it would be for something else, or original characters, and you'd be fine. Like I think Heath Ledger is tremendous in the movie. I think he's a really good actor, and certainly in this part, I think he did a good job. But it doesn't feel like the Joker to me. There's not enough Joker aspects to the character. Like, you have the anarchy aspect of it, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, he's not particularly funny. He doesn't have like clown themed gags or whatever. And I understand they were kind of going for a more realistic portrayal or whatever, but it's the Joker. He needs to be like a clown.
Right. And just like we talk about with like who could play Freddy Krueger other than Robert Englund? Like, who could really play the Joker to the same characteristics as Jack Nicholson? Like
Cesar Romero.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying like recent.
Then, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think when you see these other Jared Leto and even Joaquin Phoenix, like the way that they portray him, I think Heath Ledger's Joker is built to fit every like, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, every weak spot of Batman, and he's not just another villain. He's really everything that Batman's not, and he's making Batman have to choose certain things and try and understand his own sanity. And I think that's what works. Whereas he was just this goofy type of character, just causing chaos. It would just be a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm glad that there's like actual stakes in the Dark Knight, and there's a cost to the decisions that Batman makes. So I mean, like I said, it's a good movie.
Even the scene with the boats where he gives like a bomb to each person or each boat. It makes you like, and those two movies, Infinity War and Dark Knight, were two movies where I was like, oh my God, like what? Like I was nervous the whole time. So yeah, I mean, well done on the characters for those two. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's the beauty of these movies, is that we're all able to get different things from them. Yeah, but I hope that movies moving forward, even if the villain isn't anybody to really go crazy over, that they're just the opposite of the hero. I think that's the main thing that works, the main ingredient that works. But there it is.
I didn't even think to ask you, did you have any honorable mentions?
I did, yeah. Like same as yours, Iron Man, X-Men 2. I think Ragnarok was somewhat.
Oh yeah, Ragnarok. Yeah, that's so good. That's the best Thor movie.
Yeah, and I think that kind of was a different pace of movie to like it added something different that you really haven't seen.
That's such a fun movie.
It is, yeah.
And using Immigrant Song, it's glorious.
Yeah. And again, that really felt like a comic book movie. Him finding Hulk and all of that really felt it was light. And that's what's weird too about Infinity War. It's like you go from that, if you're watching in order, and then just a massacre in the opening, everybody's dead. Yeah, I think those are. It's hard too because like Doctor Strange, I really liked.
Yes.
I really liked that one, but even Guardians of the Galaxy, I enjoyed the first one, and that was a different one. I mean, I think that definitely changed the landscape of a lot of comic book movies. That one kind of influenced Ragnarok, I feel, but yeah, there it is.
So, are we going to debate on a final list?
Okay.
Okay, so
my number 10 was First Class, and yours?
Mine was The Punisher.
Okay.
All right. What are you thinking? I should also keep in mind we can, if we still want one on the list, we can keep it and move it up.
Okay. So, what was your 9?
My 9 was Watchmen.
Okay, so I would say, in my opinion, my number 10, First Class, in my opinion, would stay, and my number 9, First Avenger, would go for Watchmen.
So swapping out.
Yeah. So if I would say First Class 10.
Okay.
9 is Watchmen.
Okay. See, I was actually willing to get. Well, see, I don't know. Yeah, I almost think that First Class should be like, I would keep Punisher at 10 and then have Watchmen get swapped out with First Class.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Okay, so I'll do that one. All right, so keeping number 10 is The Punisher. 9 is X-Men First Class. Okay.
And then number 8, my 8 was Batman Returns.
Okay. Batman Returns in. Okay, yeah. I mean, obviously mine was Watchmen. So okay, yours number 7 was okay. Your number 8 was Batman Returns. Your number 7 was Spider-Man. My 8 is The Avengers.
Okay.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well,
So we
obviously,
have the same.
obviously 7. We should just keep as Spider-Man because we both have the Spider-Man
Yeah,
already.
yeah, obviously. Let's debate that. No. Yeah.
Number 8. I don't know. That's a tough one because I really like Batman Returns, but I don't know. I don't know if it's
So go. All right. So I'll adopt your idea of the list, and I'll
okay.
say that Avengers would go there because Batman Returns wasn't as influential as the first one. So I will say,
Okay.
yeah. So I'll say Avengers. So Punisher, First Class.
Avengers, Spider-Man, and then number 6,
I had Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, and I had X-Men 2.
So
Okay.
I could easily. So what was your 5? Your 5th spot?
My 5 was Iron Man.
Okay, that was it. All right. So I could see X-Men 2 in place of Winter Soldier because again I think that was for the time that it came out. Did more for comic book movies than Winter Soldier did. I just think Winter Soldier was a different type, but I could see X-Men 2 because I would say X-Men 2 would be on this list. So
Okay.
we'll put it at 6
So number 5,
or 5.
number 5, you have Avengers, and we already have that as number 8. So,
Yeah.
your number 4 was Batman 89, and my 5 is Iron Man. Well, I mean, I think Batman 89 is definitely, I mean, that trumps Iron Man, but I don't know that I would put it so low. It's the thing. What if I swap out Iron Man for
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, yeah. Okay. And your 4 was Batman 89. My 4 was Logan.
So I would, yeah, I think Logan did a lot. So I would keep Logan at 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, there's no way that Batman 89 is not ending up on this list.
No, I would push it
By
down.
a tooth and nail.
No, I would keep it. I would say to what you would feel and what I would agree with that it's either that it's number 1. I would say that it's if it wasn't for Batman, we may not have the type of superhero movies that we have. So I would say I can agree with that being 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, you have Spider-Man 2, and my number 3 is Ninja Turtles. Okay, I'll bargain with you. How about Spider-Man 2 moves up to 3, and I'll move Ninja Turtles to number 5.
Okay.
Okay, so we're 2, and I have Superman 2, and you have Infinity War.
Yeah, I think that would be my one disagreement on this list would be Superman 2, so close to.
Okay. I think.
But
Okay. What if I try to think of a movie that maybe I could swap out?
so what do we have? We have Punisher, First Class,
Avengers, Spider-Man, X-Men 2, Ninja Turtles, Logan, Spider-Man 2. I think you could make a strong case that both of these belong on the list, but I don't know anything really on this list that I want to take off right now. I mean, we do have 2 Spider-Man movies. Actually, yeah, we have 2 Spider-Man movies, and we technically have 3 X-Men films.
Okay, so if we're again going based off of movies that impacted or influenced, then then Spider-Man 2's got to go. But I think Spider-Man was the you tried not to put two of the same.
Yes.
So again, we'll adopt that. So let's say between the two, which one influenced more and changed more? Spider-Man. So if you did Superman 2 for number 3, you want to do Infinity War number 3, Spider-Man 2 number 2, and Batman 1?
Oh, wow, you are so kind to me. I didn't even have to fight on this.
Well, I think, I think the whole list, I can agree to all of these being. I think the only one on this list I would say would be the Punisher. I think would be the only one I would say I could do without. But other than that, I think I can make an argument for why all of these are on here. I mean, I would say maybe a film like Winter Soldier. But yeah.
Okay.
So Punisher / Winter Soldier at 10. But yeah, definitely looking at it from in terms of most important would be Batman number 1.
Okay, so you were saying Winter Soldier.
Well, I'm saying if I could make an argument for everyone on this list, one that I would say I could do without would be Punisher.
Okay.
And I could put Winter Soldier there.
Okay. All right, we can do that. I'll swap it out. All right, so ladies and gents, this is now our official list of 10 greatest comic book movies, superhero movies more specifically. We have number 10, Captain America, Winter Soldier. Number 9, we have X-Men First Class. Number 8, we have The Avengers. 7, Spider-Man. 6, X-Men 2. 5, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. 4, Logan. 3, Avengers Infinity War. 2, Superman 2. And 1, Batman 89.
Oh, I just saw an issue.
What's that?
Well, we just said not 2 in the same franchise.
Oh, you're talking about X-Men?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
okay. We could. How about we swap out First Class for The Dark Knight?
I was just gonna. Okay, I can agree with that.
Okay, so The Dark Knight is number 9 now. You got it on your list.
There it is.
Okay, I think that's it for today's podcast. I don't think there's anything else to add. You think of anything?
Comment your list and why you disagree with ours.
Yeah, because I'm sure if anybody comments, it's gonna be people pissing him on. It's like, I can't believe you put Batman 89. You're just blinded by your nostalgia.
Yeah, nostalgia. Yeah. Well, that's what's nice about life is that you can have your own choices and your own interests. So be kind, respectful, and just know that you're wrong, but no, I'm kidding. This is right. So yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Yep. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.